painful problem on its own. But at some level, these are symptoms pointing to the reality that our state of exile runs deep within each one of us. There is hopeful news, however. Exile is not a terminal point. It is not meant to be a destination. Exile is meant to transform us into pilgrims. The word pilgrim conjures images of unsmiling, black-garbed people who sailed to America on the Mayflower, or a lone backpacker with a walking stick hiking to a distant holy site. While those capture the motion and intention of pilgrimage, the best image of a pilgrim is the one you see in the mirror when you're brushing your teeth with that minty fresh toothpaste. Restlessness gets a bad rap in this world and can fan the flames of all kinds of sin, but it can also serve as a powerful compass. 4th century North African church father Augustine of Hippo famously prayed, "You have made us for yourself, and our hearts are restless until they can find rest in you." Jesus highlighted how thoroughly he knew humanity's restless status when he told a religious leader inquiring about becoming his disciple, "Foxes have dens and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head." Matthew chapter 8, verse 20. Jesus wanted this man to know that following him would uproot him from his settled, comfortable life, and that settledness is what passes for most of us as a salve for our state of exile. Jesus is telling each one of us the same thing he told that man. He is calling us to unsettle and embrace a life of pilgrimage. He modeled it for us as he journeyed to the cross. Those who are settled and comfortable have no real incentive to follow him, nor are those who've wrapped themselves so firmly in the identity of exile they've learned to live in a bunker and sought salvation as a way of avoiding a world they don't particularly like. We who are a part of the church in the West have often framed discipleship in terms that speak to our craving for comfort, or coach us to build better bunkers so we can avoid being contaminated by the sinful world around us. The theme of pilgrimage runs through Scripture in 3 parallel, sometimes overlapping streams. Moral pilgrimage focuses on everyday obedience to God. Physical pilgrimage emphasizes a bodily journey to a holy site in order to seek God. Interior pilgrimage describes the pursuit of communion with God through prayer, solitude, and contemplation. The book you are listening to will touch on all 3 as it traces the theme of pilgrimage from Genesis to Revelation. It is time for us to reclaim our pilgrim identity. It is an identity for God's people woven through Scripture from beginning to end. This book will not only introduce you to the way in which the Bible highlights the pilgrim journey, but will help you recognize the invitations to pilgrimage God has placed in your life here and now. Each chapter ends with a few questions for contemplation or thoughtful conversation with a friend or small group, along with a pilgrim's prayer. Author J.R.R. Tolkien rightly observed, "Not all those who wander are lost. You were born, and born again, to wander." Chapter 1. Uprooted. Where are you from? Most of us can answer the question with relative ease by naming the place we were born, or perhaps the city where we spent our coming-of-age years. It isn't quite so easy to answer a related question, "Where are you going?" We might be able to take a swat at it in the short term, to the kitchen to grab a snack. But even those of us with excellent long-range forecasting skills know circumstances change. Plans need to be revised or scrubbed entirely. I grew up in the northwest suburbs of Chicago during the 1960s and 1970s. There is a specificity to the time and place from which I launched. My family enjoyed deep dish pizza. My sister and I watched the Bozo the Clown show on Channel 9 after walking home from school for lunch most every day. We shopped for back-to-school clothes at E.J. Korvitz in Niles. Those tidbits about my origins might explain some things about me, but they can't answer fully the question of where I'm from, nor are they the final word about where I'm going. I was about 16 and a new believer the first time I heard